Okay, are we live? Are we good? Hopefully I didn't just accidentally decide to broadcast to Cilantro Gamer. Somebody alt tab over to uh, somebody tab over to Cilantro Gamer. See if I accidentally went live there. I think I should be good though. Hopefully. Ugh. I figured all this technology type stuff. You guys can't see me? Hopefully I didn't go live there. Nope, not live there. So I could just go to my own page and see if it works. Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right. I would like to say hello to everyone, or I should say shoy, which is the Lojban word for hello. This is something I've wanted to do for quite a long time. Um, I should introduce myself in case I literally just sent an email out to the Lojban mailing lists to say that I was going to be doing this stream, uh, like just right now, and I don't know that anybody's actually showed up for that, but I appreciate you guys coming in at least giving this a shot here. Kind of nervous. I have taught this before quite a bit, and I consider myself to be a pretty damn good teacher of the language. I'll go into the language itself here in a minute and why you should learn it and how easy it actually is to learn um, here very shortly. I've made the claim before that it's possible to teach the entirety of the grammar in about 3 weeks, and I hold by that claim. I mean, literally, you could be grammatically fluent in 3 weeks. Not even joking. Not even joking at all. And I'll give you guys a little bit of the history and all that kind of stuff. But it really is a fascinating language, and if you have any interest at all in traveling the world, it's actually a good language to learn because it teaches you how to learn a language. And I can get into more of that here in a little bit. But first of all, I'd like to say my name is Jameson. Most of you guys probably know me as Cilantro Gamer or Sil. My first name in real life is Jameson, and you guys can just call me that for this. Just try to keep it a little casual. It'll be a little easier. I'll even spell it out for you guys in Lojban at least. Miha Jameson or Jameson. So this would be Miha Jameson. Jameson. I'll go into the pronunciation in a little bit. This means my name is Jameson, which it is. Um, but anyway, I kind of picked up this language based off of the XKCD comic that referenced it, uh, which was kind of funny. And that's actually how a lot of people. I mean, actually, Lojban wouldn't be where it is today if XKCD hadn't mentioned it, which happened some years ago. The language is called Lojban. Lojban. It is spelled just like this. No capitalization. This is actually the correct spelling. Lowercase L Ojban. It is a logical language based on predicate logic. Completely boring stuff. It's actually not really that relevant. Um, I'll just go into the history part of it, I suppose. If you guys never heard of XKCD, you better quit living under a rock. But I literally have a book here that will help me teach a little bit because it'll just be a little easier. So I'm just going to read you guys uh, um, this little blurb here. Lojban is a constructed language, meaning that it was actually made by people consciously. I mean, languages like English and French and Russian and German, those are what you'd call natural language. They're languages that evolved over time. People, did invent them at one point, but they're spoken by people natively. Nobody sat down and just constructed the entire thing from scratch. This language was created that way. Somebody actually created the predecessor to this language called Loglan, uh, was actually made in the 50s. Dr. James Cook Brown in the 50s made Loglan, which was the predecessor to this, which is actually less logical than this one was. For whatever reason, they kind of did it. He didn't get it quite as logical. There's a few natural language sort of dependencies that kind of leaked through. This is going to be really boring until we get into the language and I show you guys how incredibly easy it is to learn. But let me just kind of go through this through these bullet points here. Um, Lojban is designed to be used by people in communication with each other and possibly in the future with computers. It is intended, despite the fact that it is very logical and very structured, it is intended as a language to be spoken by humans to humans, and it does so very well. It's hard to convey how awesome this language is without actually teaching it because it sounds so stupid, but it's a lot of fun, very easy to pick up. It's designed to be culturally neutral to the best of its own ability. Um, it's not easy to be culturally neutral, but we try our best to be as culturally neutral as possible, meaning that there's no cultural bias. So you wouldn't really be able to tell that this was a language invented by someone who was from any particular country, and there's no particular idioms related to certain languages and all that kind of stuff in here. Yes, and that's true. One of my friends is teaching his newborns to be native Lojbanic speakers, which I thought was pretty cool. And he's not planning it; he's doing it, uh, which is pretty awesome. It has unambiguous grammar, which might not mean too much to anyone out there, but once you start learning the language, you'll understand why it's so amazing. What it means by unambiguous grammar, it means that there's no there's no phrase that you can say in Lojban that can be misinterpreted in terms of its grammatical structure. Now, the meaning of what you say, the actual meaning of what you say, the meat of your statement can and will be interpreted in different ways depending on the context. But the grammar of what you say will always be interpretable only in one way as long as you're speaking correctly, which is completely different from English because English has all kinds of issues with it in terms of its structure and all that kind of stuff. The grammar is all over the place, but Lojbanic grammar is very regular, very consistent, very clean, very easy. Um, has phonetic spelling, which means sounds can be divided into words only in one way, so you never have any confusion. There's nothing like um, what's a good example? Um, Totally drawing a blank here. English problems. Two. The word two. You know, two, two, and two. Three different ways to spell the word two. All say this. All pronounced the same, but all spelled differently and all mean different things. This doesn't happen ever. This does not happen in Lojban. Cannot, will not. Um, Same things with like way and way, or even letters. You have like let's see here, like the word put and the word put. Look very similar. Vowel is the same, completely different vowel sounds. Doesn't happen. Homophones. Thank you. Yes. None of that. I mean, there are letters that can have different pronunciations, but that those pronunciations are specific to only that letter. For example, in Lojban, the letter R, R, can be pronounced a large number of ways. It could be, just the regular R, and there's the rolled R that you might do. Um, if you are more of some of the European languages that have the rolled R. So more or less any R sound can be used for the R letter, and there's specific pronunciation guides that are out there which help. R. Um, but the important thing is that for any given sound, there's only one letter that it corresponds to, which is good. So there's that. Lojban is simple compared to natural languages. It is easy to learn. It is very easy. Excuse me, very easy to learn. I mean, I'm not kidding. You can learn the grammar in like 3 weeks to a month of fairly somewhat dedicated study. But you can learn the grammar in weeks as opposed to years. No, actually, I'm gonna make you an op. Ionis, so you can help me out there, since you're the only person I recognize from the mailing list so far. Um, so there's that. Lojban has 1,350 root words. That's it. There are a number of other words that are related to language. The total number of words is only a few thousand, though, as opposed to, hundreds of thousands of words in English. Hundreds of thousands of words in English. There's only maybe 2,000 in Lojban. Base. You can create words on the fly if you really wish to, although I usually punch people that try to do it. Yes, you can invent words quite easily, but it's not very polite. Lojban is regular. The rules of language don't have exceptions. There are for every rule in Lojban there are literally no exceptions to that rule. Um, So, I mean, the grammar, especially for English, and off the top of my head, I can't think of any good examples. But there are literally no exceptions to any rules. If I tell you a rule, that is it. It always works in that capacity. No conjugations. There is nothing like that. I'll just give you a straight up example right off the bat here. And actually, somebody had asked, hang on a second. Somebody wants to know what fihirodo iko plukasire. Somebody else wants to know. Lidor 101 wants to know what that means. Fihirodo means welcome to everyone. I am welcoming you to something. It does not mean you're welcome. It means I am welcoming. Fihi is a word that means welcome. I am welcoming something. And Rodo is all you. So welcome, all of you. And I will go, I mean, this is actually kind of advanced stuff that I'll get to eventually, but it means hospitality. It's a gesture of hospitality. So welcome everyone. And this is a command that means roughly, this is you should pleasant, um, you should pleasantly learn. It's kind of hard to translate. That's the one thing about Lojban. It's hard to translate things, but it more or less means have a good time learning. You will enjoy learning. I'm commanding you to enjoy learning, more or less. Kopluka, ikopluka. That was horrible. Ikopluka shire, shire. Love that word. Shire, shire. So anyway, let's see here. Lojban attempts to remove restrictions on creative and clear thought and communication, and does so well, in my opinion. And Lojban has a variety of uses, ranging from creative to scientific, from theoretical to practical. Why was Lojban developed? It has to do with the development of language dealt with what's called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Simply expressed, this hypothesis states that the structure of a language constrains the thinking of people using that language. Meaning, if there's no word to easily express a concept, it's not a concept you can really think about. So we tried to, well, not we, but the people who developed Loglan and then subsequently Lojban tried to develop a language that facilitates logical thinking, logical speaking, to see if it would open the train of thought. And I tell you what, having been a native English speaker for so many years and only English, learning a second language really, especially one like this, really changes the way you look at things. It actually does, in my opinion, open your mind up to a lot of things. Like I can actually think in Lojban, and it's a very unique experience. If you're not bilingual, which I'd imagine a lot of you guys are probably from America, and unfortunately are probably not bilingual or not trilingual or monolingual, whatever you want to call it, only one language. It's unfortunate that that's sort of the base, sort of the default for America. But learning another language is a lot of fun, especially one like this because it's so easy. Um, yeah. You're lost already. Look for a second. I haven't even started teaching yet. It's not that hard, I promise. Zemnight says he likes having only one tongue. Well, we're going to sharpen that tongue. Give you a second. Oh, you're fluent in Arabic. That's pretty sweet. Let's see here. Just looking through some stuff about here. How's it written? How's it sound? I will go over the pronunciation here in a little bit. I'm going to be teaching this, by the way, quite frankly, towards people who are native English speakers because it's easier for me to teach towards people who are native English speakers because I am. So if you're not native English speaker, you may have some difficulty, but I'll try my best to conform as best as I can. Um, Lojban seems complex. How hard is it to learn? I'm literally looking through a book right now, trying to see if there's any frequently asked questions you guys might be able to get. Um, Lojban seems complex, but it's really not. I mean, honestly, it's not at all. Um, can you make jokes in an unambiguous language? Yes, you can. It's often a good source for that kind of stuff. Um, Here we go. Why should I learn Lojban? There are several reasons for learning the language. Um, it's actually nice if you have a good background in computing because it is kind of a computer-ish based language. But I mean, it's a good thought experience, and it really is. It will change you the way you think in some ways, in my opinion. And it's fun and it's easy. All right, I'm done. I'm just going to quit telling you how awesome it is. I actually there's a phrase that I kind of used to when I used to frequent the IRC channels on the Lojmanic IRC channels. I'd get people come in and say, "Why should I learn Lojban?" And I would say, in the time it would take me to convince you how to learn the language, I could teach you the language. I mean, really. Uh, so. So anyway, anybody have any questions right now before I kind of get started? I promise it's not going to be. I don't teach boringly. Is that a word? It's not. It's a word now. I will try to make this as personable as possible. And please, you guys know, as with my regular Minecraft show, ask me any questions that you might have. Please do not be ashamed to ask any question. I will try my best to help you guys out as much as you need it. Will there be snacks? I would love to ship some snacks out to you guys. Have some cheese on me. Does this language make you more awesomer? I think so, and I love the community. We've got people from all over the world that speak the language. It's pretty awesome going into IRC and seeing people literally all over the world. All right, well, I'm going to take your silence as a sign of complete disinterest, so I should probably get started. All right, so first thing is the first thing. I'm going to type out the Lojbanic alphabet. And we're going to go over pronunciation. It's actually very simple. So this is the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. H is useless. I, J, K, L, M. N, O, P. Q's useless too. R, S, T, U. V, W sucks as well. X, Y, and Z. And there is the Lojbanic alphabet. And yes, these are letters right here. I'll get to those here in a minute. Let me try to get this a little bit more straightened out. There we go. Maybe I'll tell you what. I'll put this in a more familiar order. How's that? That still looks bad. One of these days I'll be happy. See, I'm OCD about about this as well. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No H. I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. No Q. R, S, T, U, V. No W, X, Y, Z. Apostrophe, period, and comma. The pronunciation is pretty simple. If you speak English, the letters B, D, F, G kind of, K kind of, L, M, N, P, R, S, T, V, and Z are all really simple. And I will use my the Lojbanic pronunciations, I suppose. I'll get to that in a minute. This is a lesson on pronunciation. So so this is the B sound, ba, duh, f, g, k, l, m, n, p, r, or r, s, t, v, z. So pretty much all of the same sounds in English. I mean, there's literally no difference between all these. Just remember that these are always these sounds. It's always this sound. It's always the f or the g. Always. Anytime you see the G, it's always g. G. Always. L. Always L. M, N, P, R, S. Yeah. And they're actually spelled like this. B, D, F, G, K. But that's to come later. So those are all out of the way. The consonants that are a little different are C, J, and X. I think are the only three that are different. A, B. I'm trying to think if there's any. Yeah, I think those are the only other ones that are. Mars Striker. Mars Striker. Mars Striker. Mars Striker. Yeah, that's how you would spell it right there. Which I'll get to here in a minute. But anyway, these three letters right here are a little different. The C, the letter C, is sh, sh, sh. So anytime you see C, it is the SH sound in English. So, let's see here. So it's the SH like in shy or ship or push. That's C. That's the letter C. So, for example, as I had shown earlier, this word, which means learn, shilre, is pronounced like that. Shilre. Shilre. Sh. So C is always sh. So when you see words like this, which is the word for teach, shtusha. 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 If you look at it from an English perspective, it's like Kataka. What the hell is that? Kataka. Doesn't work. Shtusha. 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 That's how you pronounce that one. Another Shtusha. Kataka. Next letter that's a little different is J. It's the zh sound, as in measure or azure. The sort of zh, that sound. The buzz, almost like a kind of a buzzing sound. That's the J. Zh. So, like this word, zhensha. Zhensha. This means stun, I think. Zhensha. Punji. Punji, which is, I think, push or inject or something. I forget what that is. My vocabulary is a little off. A little rough on that. What are some other Lojbanic words that have the letter J in it? Zhensha. There's tons of them. I'm trying to think of some really simple ones. Can't remember. Will I archive these? Yeah, of course I'll archive them, for sure. Yeah, Ionis, I'm not going to get into play structure yet. That'll be soon. So, Jenga. But yeah, Zhensha. Punji. Um, Żmiwe. There's a good one. Which I think is the word for. Actually, I forget. I'm really rusty on the vocabulary. Vocabulary was never my good thing. I'm gonna look it up. Żmiwe. Live. Duh. Żmiwe. Are there capital letters? No. Well, kind of, but I'll get to that later. Uh, but no, this is correct. I'm typing correctly. I will always type completely correctly. That's one thing I want to be very clear about. There are no capital letters in this language, so there kind of are. But again, don't worry about it. For general use, no capital letters anywhere. So when I say something like this, imi imedunda lo shukta kudo. This simple sentence, which is I give a book to you. Um, this is correct. This is completely correct, Lojban. Um, no grammatical errors, no spelling errors, nothing. This is completely correct here. Imidunda lo shukta kudo. Lo shukta kudo. What are the requirements to make a grammatically correct sentence? I will get you there in a minute. Get you there in a minute. Backward sentence, kind of. Actually, you're close there. You are kind of close on that because that. But I will get to that in a minute. We're still doing pronunciation. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Pronunciation first. Okay. Last three letters that need to be learned are these three. This one right here, the apostrophe is sort of our sound. The H sound. Yeah, I'll do a recap on the pronunciation here in a minute. So if you use the word behe, 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 this is trying to get somebody's attention. You would say ibehedo. Hey you, ibehedo. Saying hello to you. And then you would say rehi, which is the word for I am ready to receive your commands or comments. Rehi. Yes, it's a short, breathy H. Behe, rehi. Or the word for goodbye, shoho. 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 Oh yes, I forgot about X. Sorry, I gotta get to that one. My bad. I did skip that one. That's okay. I'll get to that in a minute. So that's that one. H, short and breathy, but it's an H. Period and comma are pronounced the same way. They're pronounced like that. They're a pause. They're a pause in speech. And they come into play at certain places. These are kind of more grammatical letters, but they are very important for reasons that you will learn later. Just understand that when you see one of these, it's a mandatory pause in speech. Comma is a very brief pause. Period is a slightly longer one, but it's easy and intuitive stuff. I promise you. 1,005 guarantee. I'll give you my 1,005 guarantee. Pardon mu. Here we go. This is 1,005 right here. Pardon mu. The other letter that I artfully dodged around and was reminded of by Ionis is this one, the letter X, which is ch. It's the, or kihomu, sure. Panonomu sounds funnier, though. Um, the problem with this is there's no language, or it's not in English unless you're Scottish. It's ch. It's like Ahmed or the Loch Ness monster. It's that kind of slightly hacking, abrasive, throaty sound. You really have to practice it. It's the only of the letters that's a little hard for native English speakers to get to. Um, yeah. Um, let's see with some words. Hrula. Hrula. This is a flower. Word for flower. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's not supposed to be Ahmed. It's supposed to be Ahmed. Ahmed. Hula, very good word. Darhi, which is the word for hit. Darhi. Darhi. It takes practice. I'm still not very good at it. But as long as you're doing that sound, that's what you need. Darhi. Hula. And I will get to the vowels here next. The vowels are going to be fun. The vowels are actually what's hardest for English speakers, native English speakers. The vowels are what's the word for computer is scammy. 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 AC phlegm. Oh, you just mean it's Ahmed? 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 Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Anywho, these are the 5 vowels. Actually, sorry, 6 vowels in Lojban. The pronunciation of these is the hardest part for English speakers because it is completely regular. Let me pound. I need something. My desk is like gonna break if I try to pound it. All right, I'm pounding my fist on my hand. Completely regular. English does not have completely regular vowels, and it's the hardest transition to make. The hardest transition to make as a native English speaker, especially a native Lojbanic English speaker, is the vowels. It is the hardest thing to do. Hardest thing to do, and I'll explain why here in a minute. I mean a native English speaker. Pretty much all English speakers have the same problems. Oh yeah, Ionis has helped me out here, but it's father, bet with the E. Father, bet. Feet, that's a good example. That's the I. So I is, or here, let me get rid of the alphabet. Uh, A equals father, E equals bet, I equals feet, O equals boat, U equals moot, Y equals about. I will capitalize the relevant letters. These are not. I will capitalize the relevant letters. So there we go. Father, fa, ah. Always that sound, ah. And yes, Y is considered a vowel. Always the sound, ah. Bet, eh. There are variations of these letters you can use if you have to, but just for the purposes of this is what we're going to use. So bet, eh, eh. Feet, e, e, e. The thing about these vowels is that they're very. Well, I'll get to that after I finish these. Boat, uh, and moot, oo, oo, oo. Yeah, sorry, I misspelled that. There we go. Boat, boat. There we go. Misspelled that. My bad. Uh, moot and about. This is schwa. This is the schwa sound from English. If you guys know that. Or like sofa. It's uh. The sound you make when you just open your mouth and just expel air until sound comes out. It's like the Beavis and Butthead thing. What? What? Boat! Aonis, you don't know your spelling. Shut up. You haven't been around my Minecraft show long enough to know this joke. It's an inside joke. There you go. So u, ah. Sorry. Loop myself back around. Let's try this again. U, Now, one thing you probably didn't notice when I was pronouncing these is that I'm doing a pure O. This is the letter especially. O is the big one. Let me say a word in English. Dough. Just the word dough. Okay? What you're not hearing, likely, is the fact that I'm actually using two different vowel sounds to say that word. Duh. Let me slow it down. Dough. Dough. Hear that? It's actually two different vowel sounds. Dough. You probably don't even notice it. I guarantee you pronounce it the same way. Slow it down. It's two different vowel sounds. You cannot pronounce it like that in Lojban. It's incorrect, and you will get flamed for it bad. There are videos and videos and videos on YouTube of people speaking Lojban, and they do that thing, and it drives me up the wall because it's wrong, and it feels wrong. You have to get rid of that. See it, Chrissy? You have to get rid of that. It's duh. Oh. You have to get rid of that ooh part at the end. Duh. If you say it more in the back of the throat, it's a little easier. You have to practice it. Duh. Guh. No fade at the end. It's hard. It's still hard for me, but you have to do it. Duh. Guh. Guhi. Lojba. Lojba, by the way, is the Lojbanic word for Lojban. For language. For the culture. For all of it. Pronounce it in slow-mo, and again, okay. Correct in normal speed, duh. Wrong in normal speed, dough. Duh, dough. Correct again, duh. Incorrect, dough. Slow down, duh. The upraise was actually wrong too. Duh. There you go. Duh. And then the incorrect is dough. Hear that? You hear that off glide? Yeah, cut yourself off. There you go. Just right across the throat. Just done. It's a way to do it. Don't make the W motion. Just it's pronounced more in the back of the throat. It's much easier if you just leave your mouth hanging there. Just don't move your mouth. Duh, duh. It's very yeah. Exactly. Just don't make the W motion with your lips at all. There's even that issue with some of the other vowels as well, but they don't crop up nearly as bad as the O. The O has always been the worst. So I'll see people like on YouTube, and I feel bad calling people out like this, but they'll be like, "Shoy Rodo," and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're doing it wrong. It hurts my brain to hear it because it's so wrong. It's so bad. It's so bad. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me." Duh. Duh. Okay. The other thing you have to watch out for, as a native English speaker, is when you see a word like, well, hell, I'll use this. Okay, so the Lojban word for sofa is svofa. Svofa. Very simple. Just add an extra F. Svofa. This is actually the Lojban word for sofa. I'm not even kidding. Svofa. It's very important that you don't turn this into svofa. Because here, the English word, sofa. Sofa. It's got that at the end. It's got the We don't do that. Pronunciation is always regular. If it was pronounced svofa, this is how it would be spelled, but it's not. It's svofa. Svofa. Always the ah. Very important to watch this because this crops up a lot with native English speakers as well. The ah at the end should always be ah. You never drop anything. It's hard to do that because of English. It's really hard to break that habit, I promise. But practice makes perfect. We'll practice together. It'll be fun. Svofa. So let me read some Lojban for you guys, and I'm just going to read. There's some sample stuff here in the back of the book, and I'll read it slowly. I don't anticipate you guys to be able to understand what I'm saying, but hopefully you can at least hear what I'm pronouncing. To at least maybe pick it apart a little bit. So I'm just going to read. This is like a poem or something. It's kind of a weird one. Bihu pafinti shojmive jeprami. Shuzutse shofengu gihepilno leskami. See? There you go. if I speak a little slowly, I darlu shodarsi sainehi lesdani. I zaha lezekri leturni shukrani. It's going to sound weird. You did hear computer. Good job, Ice Hawks. I was hoping somebody heard that. I did say skami. Very good. Very good indeed. I pajdaraju shoprami jekrishi. Shudunku boshatlu tefarna livrishi. I malsi shokrasi lopanpi postura. I turni shoterpa lo nu se malchlura. Very tongue twistery at times, but actually fairly simple. I spoke kind of shortly. I don't expect you guys to have understood that, but it's good to just get general exposure to the language so it sounds more natural when you finally start getting into it. So, one thing about emphasis. Um, Words are emphasized in very specific ways. It actually emphasis well put, has a unique use in Lojban. It's actually important how you emphasize your words. Um, I'm not going to go over the emphasis words in detail. The emphasis rules in detail. The short and skinny of it is that um, it's usually the penultimate syllable that you wish to emphasize. Yeah, but there's weird stuff with like when you have words like I can't think of any off the top of my head. Um, like sofabachni, not sofabachni. What's it? Would be a good word. Oh God, why can't I even think of any words? When you have as a second syllable, you don't stress that. There are exceptions to the rule, but basically it's the second to last syllable that's stressed. So when you say the word scami, it's scami, scami, or penda, which is a word for friend, or dunda, dunda. It's usually the first syllable of the shorter words that's stressed. Yes, they don't count, but again, I didn't want to go into those rules. How long have I been studying it? Off and on for a couple of years, but honestly, you can learn the language in a very short amount of time. Has any of this been confusing? Like seriously, if you're getting caught up on any of this stuff, please let me know. I would like to make sure you guys understand what I've been going over. But I mean, the pronunciation is pretty regular. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's the vast majority of this was pretty straightforward. Are there any numbers? Yeah, actually, there's a lot of numbers. There's more numbers in Lojban than in pretty much any other language that I know of, at least. For example, enough or too few are actually numbers. Grammatically, they're numbers. It's actually one of my favorite concepts in Lojban. Pao here is this is a number grammatically, and it is a number for enough. So you could say something like, um, I am the enough person in line to get tickets for this show. Say you're standing in line to get tickets to a movie, and your buddy calls you and says, "Hey, are you going to get a ticket?" And you could say, "I am enough in line to be able to get the ticket." It's grammatical. You could do it. If somebody wants to know what position you are in line, you could say, "I am enough in line," and it works. You are a sufficient amount, and it's a number. This is a number. Enough. A sufficient quantity. Um, and then like there's like this, which is a number for all. There's pi, which is 3.1415926535, etc. You know what I mean? Actually, I think I might have just hang on. Whoops, lost my screen. My bad. Yes, you're in a pal place. You are enough in line. This is kind of getting more stuff. I mean, you can type numbers out. There's nothing wrong with that. You can type. It's perfectly grammatical to use numbers, but people do type them out. Pareshivo mucha zebiso. No. 0 equals no, 1 equals pa, 2 equals re, 3 equals shi, 4 equals parashi vo, mu, ha, ze, pi. So, there we go. Soy la Lindar. Oh yeah, no, I got them mixed up. You're right, Lindar, my bad. Ral, not pow. Pow is a question marker. Sorry, I had that word. I had the concept right. I just said the word wrong. I'm a little rusty, but yeah, Ral. That's actually the number for enough. My bad. Good to see you, Lindar. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, no is 0. No. 24 would be Revo. Revo. 24. It's pretty easy. To the mines. To the 7 mines? I see what you did there. Zeh. Yeah, so 1005 would be pa no no mu. 1005. 2012 would be re no pare. Re no pare. Yep, you could just say sobi ze shivo no mu. Yep. Nope, there's no 20, there's no any of that kind of stuff. Soy la Lindar. Lindar is one of my friends. I'll make him a mod. Make him an op too. Yep, 10 is pano. That's right. That is exactly right. Paja, 16. Yep, you just literally mix the numbers up. If you want, there are shortcuts as well. I don't know why I'm getting into numbers, but since you guys are talking about them, I figured I would go ahead and show them off. This is the word for 1,000, kiho, which is kind of similar to kilo, and it means 1,000. It marks the 1,000 place, so you could just actually say kiho mu, and this means 1,005. Kihomu means 1005, or you could say pa kihomu, and that also means 1005. It's assumed if you don't put a number in front of the kiho that it means it's 1,000 or just 1,000. If you do kiho kihomu, that's 1,000,005. Or you could just say pa no no no. That works too. They're all the same. The hex numbers I don't know off the top of my head, but they do exist. I will look those up for you though. Just for you, buddy. I know 2 of them, Guy and Zhao, and that's it. And those are C and D. Hex digit. Don't ask me why I know those. I'm sure Lindar probably knows those off the top of his head. Trying to look these up here. Yep, there's the word lookup right there. Thank you for linking that, by the way. Probably should have done that a while ago. Oh, why can I not find? I'm trying to find the Mahosta, and I can't. Why can I not find the Mahosta? Mahosta. I'm a great teacher. You can call me Sill or Jameson. Appreciate that. And yes, they do exist. I just can't remember them off the top of my head. Why can I not find the Mahosta? Damn it. All right. Hex digit. Okay. Dao is A in hex. Fei is B, and then Guy and Zhao are C and D. I always remember those because of Zhai Gao, which is a very common phrase. Guy, Zhao, and Ray is E, and Vi is F. So there, those are the hex digits. So Dal fe. So theoretically, the numbers 1 through 16 or 1 through 15 are para shivo mucha zebi so dal fe gai zhao re vai. So, anywho, those numbers do definitely exist. We got you covered, bro. All right. Any questions about the numbers? Normally don't go into numbers at any given time. See you, Bolt fan. Like I said, I will have this recorded and saved forever. So if you want to do that, yeah, you actually can't use commas in numbers if you type them out. That will actually cause issues, unfortunately, but it doesn't really happen too much. Um, any questions about numbers? Don't see any questions. No. There is there? I forget. I think there's a number for more than. More than. Yeah, Zahu, which is actually a number. I believe you just do Zahu Sokiho. I think that would be more over 9,000. Shoila Dapaj. Negatives are in there. Yes, I'm not going to go over all that kind of stuff because I really would like to teach the grammar. I mean, what time is it? Holy crap, it's already 11. Yeah, I really wanted to try to teach the grammar here soon. We'll get to the numbers in full detail. But yeah, Zahu Sokiho is over 9,000. This literally means greater than 9,000. It's over 9,000. How much longer are we teaching for? I'd like to at least get the basic grammar out of the way, which I'd like to start here in a minute. Got to do this more often. Well, I got to do this more often. I have to teach. Ah, yes. You meant to say you gotta. Yes. I plan on. Okay. So if there's no other questions about the number system, I would like to go in the grammar. I promise you, it's not as daunting as English grammar is. Promise you. All right, we're good to go. Okay, we're just gonna start it. Forget it. Okay, I'm actually gonna teach off of my previous teachings in the wave. Okay, so I will tell you that it is easy to learn, but it is very, very, very different from English. I mean, extremely, extremely different from English. Might have planned classes. I have no idea. I don't know. I will figure it out. And yes, there are negative numbers. Yeah, of course there are. Definitely negative numbers. The grammar is extremely different, and it revolves around what is known as the bridi. Bridi are not sentences; they are relationships. They can be used as sentences, but they are not in and of themselves sentences. And you just have to take this at face value for now until I get more stuff laid out here. So the bridi are their relationships. Is there a co-op cast? At some point I would like to fly a solo on this one though, but yeah, we can definitely do co-op stuff at some point. I'm just afraid of the too many cooks thing. Did you ever see that in IRC? You used to hang out in IRC, or do you still hang out in IRC? I know you were there. I'm sure you witnessed the too many cooks phenomenon, which is very not good. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we used to have these issues where we would try to teach new people, and we'd have like 20 people trying to teach 20 different ways, and it caused problems. So we try to keep it to like one or two teachers. But yeah, we could definitely do co-casting at some point. But yeah, so bridi are relationships. Bridi are composed of two different units. All bridi must have a selpa'i, and any given amount of sumti. This is a hard word to pronounce, by the way, because of the tendency to want to put a P here. It's not sumti, it's sumti. It's very hard to do this as a native English speaker. Sumti. Sumti. We'll go over the pronunciation here. So, breedy are the relationships, and breedy are composed of a selpa'i and any given amount of sumti. Don't see, that's what I'm talking about. Observatives are a relic of older logland, and they are worthless. There's no point in mentioning observatives. They are actually completely useless to say. I appreciate your input, but they are. There's no reason for that term to exist, and I can explain to you why I feel that way, uh, if you really wish. But seriously, they are. It's a useless construct. Sumti, just without that p in there. Sumti. It's hard. Sumti. Selpa'i. Sumti. Glad you agree. Um, so the breedy is the relationship. The selpa'i is the kind of relation, and the sumti describe the relation. Okay, this might sound really cryptic, but once I get to the first example, I'm sure you guys would get this pretty simply for us. Pretty simply. So the breedy is the relationship, the selpa'i is the kind of relationship at hand that you're describing, and the sumti describe that relationship. Breedy always have a selpa'i, and any given amount of sumti, which can be anywhere from 0 to literally infinity. And these are the things that relate to the selpa'i. In English, most sentences follow a pattern. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down from this for a minute. All right, in English, most sentences follow a pattern. Okay, so you have like subject, verb, object. There are no subjects in Lojban. There are no verbs. There are no objects. There are no nouns. None of these things exist in Lojban. There are only, fundamentally, selpa'i and sumti and breedy. That's literally all there is to it. Everything is one of those types of things for the most part. I mean, there are no verbs. There are no nouns. They don't exist. They just don't exist. Period. This is why it's completely different. Completely different. Selpa'i are kind of verbs, kind of, but not really. Like I said, just bear with me for a minute. Just hold off on any extreme brain exploding confusion you might be experiencing, and I will get to this. Okay, so in English, you will usually have subject, verb, object. Okay. Which would be, Jameson teaches Lojban, Subject, verb, object, I think. Jameson teaches Lojban to his students, blah, blah, blah. I can type out English sentences all day. But, I can identify the different parts of the speech here. I have, a subject, verb, object, whatever, modifiers, bull crap, whateverness. Okay. Lojban always follows the sumti selpa'i relationship. Sumti, which modify the selpa'i. So we're just going to jump right into an example. It's literally the easiest way to do that. The way that English sentences are structured is rather sporadic at times. But Lojbanic sentences, or rather breedy, I should say, are flexible in some ways and always have more or less the same form. And that form is called a place structure. And the way it works is we're going to take our first example is going to be dunda, which is a word for give. Okay, and the easiest way to show this, I'm just going to show you what the place structure for this word is. I'm just going to literally copy paste this from my lesson. There we go. Whoops. I'm actually going to tone the font down just a hair. There we go. Okay. Hopefully, can you guys still read that? Let me know if you guys can still read that. Let me know if you guys. Can you guys still read that? Okay. Um, so the place structure dictates where the sumti go to describe what is going on. Um, the easiest way to actually put this, let me go ahead and scroll on here again, is x1 gives x2 to x3. Okay, so that what this means is that the first sumti in the relationship is the one that is giving something. The second sumti in the relationship is the object that is being given. And the third sumti in the relationship, in this particular relationship for the word dunda, is the recipient of said object. So I'm going to teach you a few simple words we can use to actually fill in these sumti spots, these little packages. Um, so the first word I'm going to teach you is do, which is the word for you. It just means you. Do. And there's me, which is the word for me. Pretty simple. And there's ti, which is this, as in this thing right here in my hands or near me, this thing. So three very simple uh, words. See, Ice Hawks, please watch this in the archive. I know you've been talking about this for a while. So you have do, mi, ti. Three different words. So if I were to want to say, I am giving this to you, I give this to you, I would want the word me to be the x1 of the phrase. I would want the t to be the x2 of the phrase. And I would want the do to be the x3 of the phrase. So what I would say is mi dunda ti do. That's it. I just taught you the basics of the entire grammar of Lojban. This is really as hard as it gets. You take a word, you take its place structure, you fill in the sumti where you want them, and you're done. That's it. That's literally the entirety of the basics of the grammar. Mi dunda ti do. I give this to you. There's no, I could say I give this object to you. The word to is useless. I mean, if you read this, read this sentence in English. You can kind of see what it says, right? I give this you. You kind of know what it means, right? So we just got rid of the crap words. Mi dunda ti do. I give this to you. That's it. That's literally all you need to do. And if you want to change what you're giving, you just change that word. As Ionis was mentioning in the chat there, ta is that, as in that thing over there, near-ish to you. I give that to you. Yeah, the to is kind of inferred. It's built into the place structure. It's built in to the structure of the word that you're using as a reference. Let me give you another example for another word with another different place structure. Let's do pendo. Pendo, friend. X1 is a friend of X2. So, chat, how would you say, I am your friend? I am a friend of yours. Write it out. Let's see it. I am a friend of yours. In Lojban, not in English. Remembering me and do. Mi pendo do! To gatekeeper got it. Mi pendo do. Mi pendo do. There you go. I am a friend of you. As we mentioned up here, dunda, if I can scroll this off here real quick. Dunda. X1 gives X2 to X3. We filled in the X1 with me, we filled in the X2 with T, and we filled in the X3 with do. So it's mi dunda ta do, or ti do. Change this. Mi dunda ti do. pendo equals friend. X1 is a friend of X2. So we want to say mi pendo do. I am a friend of you. Or you could say do pendo mi. You are a friend of mine. Pretty simple. You could actually say, if you wanted to, mi pendo ti. I am a friend of this thing. Is there verb conjugation? No. Past tense? No. Nope. Pendo is the word for future, for multiple friends. There's no such thing as changing a word to make it plural. No conjugation of any kind. None. You don't even have to be explicit about tense if you don't want to. In fact, once you learn the language, you really will realize how useless it is most of the time to mention tense specifically. And I'll actually get to that here in a minute because tense kind of works into stuff. But mi pendo ti. Lojban doesn't have any of the baggage of a word like this. This thing. Um, if you say like I'm friends with this in English, it seems kind of silly to say that because you wouldn't be a friend with a this. You'd be a friend with like this person. But there's no such thing. Like you can say T as in like a nearby object, and it's not considered rude to call a friend or a person a T. It's not. There's none of that weight behind saying that thing over there. If you say that thing and you point to a human being in English, it's very insulting. I don't have to tell you guys that. But in Lojban, there's no such baggage like that. You can point to somebody and say that and or ta in that case, and there should be no harm intended because it's just they're an object, literally, in the absolute sense. They are an object, not a problem. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me go over a few more of my favorite simple examples. Ionis, what's your favorite color? I'm gonna take a drink of my water while I'm asking. Yes, Blanu, blue. Blanu. X1 is blue. How would you say this thing is blue? My lovely, loyal viewers, how would you say this thing is blue? Well, tablanu, that'd be that thing is blue, but close enough, yeah. Tiblanu, this thing is blue. Tablanu, that thing is blue. Done! Simple. I mean, look at this. Look at this right here. Okay. So dunda is what you would consider to be a verb in English, right? I mean, dunda, giving is a verb, right? I give something. It's a verb. It's an action, right? Pendo isn't really. It's not really a. It's not really a verb. It's what is it? See, I don't even know. It's English grammar is stupid. It's not a verb. I know it's not. I don't think it's a verb. And like blanu is not a verb, it's an adjective, you know? The verb is, right? So this is why selbri and sumti are not really verbs. They're not really adjectives, they're not really nouns. They're just a completely different entity. That's why I explained that earlier to show that they're not really that parallel with English. I guess friend would be a noun. It's a friend. Yeah, that's right. It would be a noun. Yeah, you're right. I'll discuss Tanru soon. Don't worry. Um, but yeah. I hope you guys can see that. It's a relationship, regardless of whether you might think that it is a friend in Facebook is a verb. That's good. Regardless of whether that's pretty awesome. Regardless of whether you would think of it as one or the other in English, completely get rid of that thought from your head. It's useless in Lojban. There is no such thing as a verb, no such thing as a noun, no such thing as an adjective. There are only selbri and sumti, which make breedy, these lovely relationships, and that's all you have to know. Pretty much. That's pretty good, though. I like that. So, 3 simple, easy, easy little selbri here. Dunda, Blanu, and Pendo. Let me think of some other simple ones. What are some other ones I can do? I'll do tavla. Tavla. That's a good word. Tavla. It's a little bit more complicated because I can't really just fill it in completely with other things. But this will segue nicely into some of the next lessons I'm going to be doing. So, tavla. Tavla. Tavla is speak, talk. Tavla. And it's important not to do tavla. Tavla. It's wrong. Tavla. Make sure you get that at the end. Tavla. Tavla. X1 talks to X2 about subject X3 in language X4. Now, there's a lot of extra places there. But what if you just wanted to say that I'm talking to somebody? What if you wanted to say, I am talking to you? How would you say that? I'm sure you guys can get it. Mi tablado. Very good. NJ Ken. Very good. Mi tablado. Mi tablado. Very simple. You've already learned that you could omit some places. There you go. Those places are still there. The X3 and X4 are still there. They are just implied. If you are engaging in an act of tavla with someone, there is always going to be a subject about which you are speaking, and there's always going to be a language in which you are speaking, or it's not an instance of tavla. Okay? That's where it gets a little bit more complicated for some of the later, more complicated Selbri that have some more more in-depth things. See, I see you guys saying mi tavla do ta. Now, this is something I need to get into, you guys. I was hoping somebody would make that mistake. The word ti and the word ta are for physical objects only. Okay? So be aware of that. They literally are only for physical objects. You have to, if you can point to it, even if it's a trillion miles away and way bigger or way smaller than you can see, then it can be ti or ta. Otherwise, it cannot be. Now, if you are talking about a subject that you can point to, that's fine. But if you're talking about astrophysics, you can't use it as the word that like you would. Like, we were talking about that, as in the previous subject. Doesn't work. It's not very logical to be able to have that kind of ambiguity. There you go. Mi tavla do do. I'm talking to you about you. Simple. Easy. I like it. See? You're already speaking a language. Come on. That's awesome. Give yourself a pat on the back, Leador 101. That's amazing. That's amazing. So there are a few other things I need to do. If you guys saw my sentences earlier, you might have noticed me using this little word at the beginning of the sentences. There are ways to say that or this about not physical things, and it depends on what sort of definition of the word that or this you're using. That's way later down the road. It's actually a lot harder of a subject. It's funny because some things in Lojban are very simple compared to English, and some things are far more complex. And saying simply that or this is not necessarily an easy subject. The short and skinny of it is that there's a word ri, which means the last sumti that was stated. That's not a certain array of sumti, but you can use. There are words for that. Ri is kind of an example of that, but I don't really like to mention it because it's a little bit more complicated. Is mi tavla do lojbo correct? No, it's not, and I will go. That is literally the next thing I am teaching you. So sit tight. We'll get to there in a minute. I need to teach you this first, though. E. This is a very important word. This is a sentence separator. It is like the period in English, but it goes at the beginning of the sentence. It is used before your bridi and in between your bridi. So if you wanted to say I ti blanu, I mi tavla do ti, I mi dunda ti do. This is blue. I am talking to you about this. I am giving this to you. This is how you separate your sentences. It is a sentence separator. I ti blano, I mi tavla do ti, I mi dunda ti do. Like paragraphs? Well, that's actually nihil. There's a word to separate paragraphs, and that's nihil. But E is for sentences. It's like the period in English, but it's at the beginning of the sentence. Kind of like to be, yeah, there you go. Symbol minne. Kind of like to be the upside down exclamation point at the beginning of the sentence. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, yep. It is only needed to separate them, and it's sort of implied. It's sort of implied that it's said in between speakers. So if I said Tiblanu and you responded Tablanu in agreement, you wouldn't have to use the E because you're a different speaker. We kind of know that you're not continuing my sentence, although you could if you really wanted to be a jerk. But it's good practice just to always use it. It's very simple. It's just a good habit to get into. Anytime you say a new bridi, a new sentence, et blanu, e. Just get in the hand of it. Yes, this is blue. I'm talking to you about this. I give this to you. Exactly. Could be different thises, by the way. Something to be mindful of. If you say the word t in two different sentences, it could be different things. But that's something else. Okay, so we hinted on the whole plurality and tense thing. Yeah, it's never bad. I always say E. I always say E. And it must be used. It's actually incorrect to say it 3 times or 4 times in a row. You must use it to actually separate things that you say. But we talked about tense and all that kind of stuff. There's another word I wanted to introduce to you, which is zdani. 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 Kind of a hard one to pronounce. Zdani. And it means house. X1 houses X2. X1 is a nest slash house slash lair of X2. So, you may have to watch this. Well, we can go over this. We can go over this, Ben. I'm here to help you out. X1 is a home of X2. So, how would I say that is my home? Remember, ta is the word for that. How would I say that is my home? That is a home for me. That is my home. Itas danimi. Yes. You guys forgot your E already. You're killing me here, bros. Itas danimi. That is a house for me. That is my house. Very good. The cool thing about a word like this or a sentence like this, say you are an aspiring homeowner, okay? And you and your buddy are going out driving and you find this lot and it's beautiful. It's just got great grass and there's a forest in the back and a little creek. There's no house. There is no house there at all. Okay? Completely empty lot with aside from the nice woodland area, maybe some little bunny rabbits jumping around. You could walk up to that place and point at the ground and say, Itas danimi. That houses me. Now, from an English perspective, that sounds stupid because there's nothing there. You're like, are you just going to sleep out? Like, if you say that's my house right there, if you point to that and say that's my house, people are going to look at you like you're a moron. They're going to be like, okay, you're going to sleep out in the great outdoors? That's kind of creepy. Okay, whatever you're into is good with me, but sure. But the thing about Lojban is that tense and plurality both can be implied. You do not have to explicitly state them if they are obvious. So what you clearly mean is that you plan on this being your house in the future. So you're making a future tense statement. You're saying, this will be my house. But you say it the same way. As long as it's understood by you and the person that's listening, if you're comfortable in omitting the tense, and there are ways to explicitly state tense, but that's actually way later. It's not that important because it really doesn't come up that often. You don't have to say it. You don't. You can just say Itas danimi. That is my house. And as long as your buddy knows Lojban, you know Lojban, It's understood that it will be your house. Or you could go, to a childhood home or something and be like, "Itaz danimi, that was my house." Yeah, and that's one of the things you can be and I mean you might even just be able to say "Itaz dani." You could just omit the me if you don't want it. Whoops, I did that backwards. "Itaz dani." You can be more or less usually as specific or vague as you want in the language, as long as it is understood. As long as you know it will be understood by your listener, you will have no problem communicating with it. It's really that simple. I mean, as long as you will be understood, you can say as little or as much as you want to. And yeah, people talking about the whole pointing to a thing. It's the idea that it could be pointed to. It doesn't have to be actually pointed to. You don't have. There's no formality about the language that you have to point at something. It's just a general rule of thumb that if you can't point to something, it's not a ta or a ti, regardless of whether or not it exists. If it is a point-atable object, if that makes any sense, then it works. Same thing with plurality. Um, I can say it right now. Imi shtusha do. Do you guys remember what shtusha means? Shtusha. Shtusha. Do you guys remember what I said that meant earlier? I'm sure one of you guys remembers. If you guys don't remember, I'll tell you. Shtusha. I only kind of mentioned it in passing. I'm sure Ionis knows. Teach! Yes! There you go. Imi shtusha do. I teach you. I teach all of you. I teach a lot of you. How many viewers do I have, actually? I don't even know idea how many people are watching this. Viewers! How many people? 30 people! Holy crap, that's amazing. I didn't expect that many, actually. That's pretty awesome. I am teaching 30 of you. Well, maybe not Ionis. I'm pretty sure he knows all this stuff. And Lindar, if he's still here. Lindar. I didn't need to say it was plural. I had no need to. You guys know that it's all of you. Imishtushido, I teach you. All of you. Don't have to mention it specifically. Quite simple. Tense and plurality, the quantity of something, can be inferred, can be implied, as long as it's going to be understood. Or you could say, I mi dunda tido. I give these to you. You have a collection of bottle caps. I don't know. Maybe you lived in the 30s when people actually collected bottle caps, or whenever they did. I don't know, 80s, or I don't know, whenever that happened. If you're given a collection of a plural of something to somebody, you can be like, "Mi donatido, mi donatido." I'm giving you these, all of these things. That's it. No need to enunciate that you're giving all of them to them. You can just say that. Or if you really are feeling froggy, you can just hand them to somebody and say idunda, giving. Yep, me and do are possibly plural. Yes, even me. It means more or less we, as in kind of like we the people. We the people kind of thing. Me and those who I speak for. If you're like the representative of something. Me, that's the way to think of me. There are other ways there are actually other words for me. There's me, miho, miha, and maha are all different words for, and do and doho. These are all words for groups of people depending on uh, who are involved in it. But that's kind of later stuff. Me and do's are nobody ever really uses any of these. Nobody ever really uses miha or maha or miho or doho. Nobody ever uses those words, but they exist, just in case you need them. Lojban is about learning a lot of stuff that you're probably. It's like karate. I always tell people it's like karate. Um, it's about learning a bunch of stuff that you're never going to use because, well, first of all, nobody speaks the language. LOL, inside joke. But secondly, a lot of it's just not necessary. You just very rarely need to I mean, you can actually carry on some very deep conversations with just the grammar I've taught you right now. Well, maybe the next lesson too, but more or less just the stuff that I've taught you right now. This is really I've taught you probably 50% of the grammar you're going to use ever. No joke. You can ask Ionis. This is really it. This is the crux of the grammar. done in half an hour. So congratulations. But we're going to do low next. All right, so anybody have any questions about what I've done with this section so far? And feel free to ask. Seriously, ask me anything with this. If you guys have missed an example. Oh, there's a lot of stuff to teach. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff to teach. But I'd like to get through the next section for sure before I hang it up. What time is it anyway? Oh, God, 11:30. I probably end up spending the entire time. What is the sumti? Identifying sumti and breedi. Okay. Very good. The salary is almost always going to be a 5-letter word. I'm not going to get into the morphology today, which is how you can identify what words look like what. But the general rule is words. I'll type this out on its own screen here. Good question. I don't know why I just totally missed that. Thank you for pointing that out. Words that are 1 to 4 letters are can be sumti. These are very, very general rules of thumb, by the way. Words that are 5 letters or more are generally more like Selbri, and these are actually, yeah, these are kind of not really good generalizations, but for today they're just going to have to do, because there are very specific rules for how you can identify what a word is. The Selbri is the relationship, and the Sumti are what describe it. So I'm going to actually do this. Mi, Dunda, Ti, Do. Is just a marker. This is neither a Sumti nor a Selbri. This is just a marker, a separator. This is a Sumti, the X1. This is the Selbri. This is a Sumti, the X2. And this is a Sumti, X3. Yep, see you, Lidor. So, and the whole thing is a breedi. This section right here is a breedi, and this entire section is a sentence or a jufra, which is a term that's pretty much useful. Is miyudo what I think it is? No, that is actually not. I think what you wanted to say is imi pramido, which is I love you. That's another easy one. It's like pendo, really. Prami. X1 loves X2. Imi pramido. I love you. I love you. You actually, which is the word you used, you. This is pronounced you. Is a word for the emotion of love, which is another lesson. That's gonna have to come later because I'm strapped for time. I really don't want to stop, but I have to stop here soon. But yeah, if you're trying to say you, I'm pretty sure you is love, right? Yeah, fairly certain. Should remember that off the top of my head. Yes, you is love. It's the emotion word for love. What about X1 thanks, X2? I don't think there's actually a Selbri for thank. Or no, there is. It's shkira. I just remembered it off the top of my head. Yes, X1 is grateful to X2. Why did I forget shkira? For X3. So, mi shkira do. I am thankful to you. And you really don't know how to fill in the X3 yet. That's going to have to be a lesson that I'm going to get to here in a minute. If you guys would quit asking me questions. How did I forget shkira? Seriously. Shkira. Shkira. Imi shkira do. Slot Rager, yeah. Jameson Rage. It's, you is a raw emotion. Again, I'll get to the emotion words at a later date. They're very powerful and very awesome. I love the emotion words. Shkira is thank. is the state of being grateful right here. X1 is grateful to X2 for X3. Imishkirado, I thank you. And I'll get to low here in a minute, which is exactly what I want to do. It's the last thing I want to do before I'm done. Negation comes later as well. Okay, any other questions? That was a good one, though. I don't know why I didn't realize that I hadn't actually explained how to pick apart Sumti and Selbri. But we got that figured out. Okay, going back to here. Words that are 1 to 4 letters are generally going to be Sumti, kind of. Again, these are actually bad generalizations that I shouldn't be doing, but we have to make do. We just got to patchwork it up for now. Okay, with no other questions, I think we're good on that. So, I have a question for you. Remembering back to what I... Actually, should I do Tanru first before I do... I can't remember if I usually do Tanru first or if I do... Maybe I should do Tanru first. Let me check my lesson plans. Maybe I should do Tanru first. I actually cannot remember if I do Tanru first. Oh, I remember what I do. I do place omission next. Which is something I really don't want to do right now. I do Tanru next. Actually, I'm not even going to get to Ku yet. I suppose I should just do. I'll just do low. I'll do place. Place meddling and Tanru. They go hand in hand. I don't care if I stay up a little late. It's not a big deal. Mishkira dos Shtusha is not correct, but we're gonna get to that here in a minute. Okay, so oh, what the hell? I'll just teach all of it. It's not really that hard to do. Okay, I'll stay up till 1 a.m. if I have to. As long as I have viewers, I'll teach. Okay, so the next thing I want to teach you is place meddling. Place meddling. So, the general, we'll go back to Dunda. X1 gives X2 to X3. Dunda. There are cases where you might want to not say what you're giving to somebody. Say you are having a birthday party for somebody. So Ben, since you're here, Mr. Ben Kraft, say it's your birthday, okay? I want to give you something, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm giving you because it's a surprise. I'm not going to tell you at all what I'm giving you. I'm just going to hint at you that I'm giving you something. So I'm going to say, I give something to you. Now, what's wrong with this? Can you guys see what's wrong with what I'm trying to say here? I'm sure somebody could figure this out. What did I do wrong? I'm trying to say I give something to you without saying the something part of it. Can somebody figure out what I did wrong? Yes, there you go. Stephen Lytle. You're giving him to someone. Yes. That's right. You are what I'm giving. Very good. Yeah. I have filled in the X2, not the X3. We have a problem here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a problem. I want to get to that X3 of the sentence. I want it so badly I can taste it. It tastes like victory and language. But I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. So we have to figure out a way to skip the X2. There are a number of ways to do this, but I'm only going to teach you one. And this is with a cycle of words. They are fa, fe. Pretend you're a giant. Fa, fe, fi, fo, fu. I smell the blood of an Englishman or whatever. Fa, fe, fi, fo, fu. I'll even let you guys tell me what they do. I bet you guys can figure it out. What do these words do? I bet you guys are smart enough, or Ionis is just going to tell you. Bet you guys can figure it out anyway. Well, they don't just fill in for x2. They actually are place markers. Wombo combo. That's pretty good. They are place markers. What they do is, yeah, anybody know Japanese? Anybody know Japanese? Somebody out there's got to know Japanese. I would imagine there's a random Japanese speaker out there. Tiny bit. Someone knows. Okay, you know how there's like wa and wol and all those other like markers that show you what word goes where? That's kind of what these are. When you say fa, you are then going to fill in the x1 position after you say fa. If you say fi, the next word you say will fill in the x3 position. So now we can say imi dunda fido. Or fido. I'm a dog. No, don't. That's bad. That's bad. Imi dunda fido. Mi, x1, dunda, fi, move to x3, do. Imi dunda fi do. I give something, which we've omitted, to you. Imi dunda fi do. You are moving to the x3 position in the sentence and filling it in with do. If you give something to yourself, you would just say imi dunda fi mi, imi dunda fi mi, which doesn't really make too much sense. I'm giving something to myself, maybe in the past. Travel back into the past and give yourself a wallet full of money or something. I don't know. You can use these place markers before any sumti, and they also affect future dialogue. So you can say okay, so let's go back to our original example. Imi dunda tido. I give this to you. Okay, we're gonna play around with this one a little bit. So we're gonna say, let's do this. How about we do? Actually, there's one more thing I need to teach you before I get too deep into this. There is an innate flexibility behind breedy construction. And what that is that you can actually move the selbri in between the. This is just the general form. It's usually x1, selbri, x2, x3, etc. You can, though, if you wish, you can do this, and you can do this. And they all mean exactly the same thing without any change. It's still x1, x2, x3 in the same order, but it just allows you to mess around a little bit. As long as you're sliding the selbri to the right, it's perfectly acceptable. No problems. All right? Those three sentences mean exactly the same thing. Imidunda tido, imitidunda do, and imitidodunda are all the same thing. This is where Lojban's very different. The language is a little bit more flexible than English in some ways. You have the ability to move it a little bit. But, this is not correct. This is completely different. As a convenience and a quirk of the grammar, oh, there's no difference in emphasis or anything. These are literally functionally identical. There's no change of meaning of any kind. There's no change in any kind. This one down here, though, this is a little problematic because of I'm not going to go into the reasons why this is useful like this, but This actually has me as the x2 and t as the x3 and do as a non-existent x4. So if you don't have a sumti in the beginning, it is assumed that the first sumti you see is the x2. Okay, so let me go over this again. You can go imi dunda ti do, where we have x1 here, x2 here, x3 here. Okay, imi ti dunda do. Same thing, x1 here, x2 here, and x3 here. Okay, same thing here, imi ti do dunda. X1 here, X2 here, X3 here. But as soon as you go idunda mitido, it's different. If there's nothing in the front, if there's no sumti in the front here, then it's assumed that it starts at the X2 instead. Okay? It's just a quirk of the language. You might consider it to be an exception of a rule, but it's actually its own entity. There's a reason for this that it's not really useful to explain at this point. It's a design of convenience, despite the fact that it might seem inconvenient. It's actually more convenient this way. Again, I'm not going to go into it exactly why, but this is kind of, it's a little different. So these three all the same, this one different. Okay. And yeah, the place tags must label a sumti. But they can be used anywhere. If you use these tags, they can be used anywhere.